Buddha once said, "We are what we think about most," and that's because thoughts become things. It is so important that you and your child develop positive thinking. The power and the importance of positive thinking is instrumental to success in anyone, not just yourself or your child, and anyone to succeed in life. I'm your host, Dr. Jamie Schwandt, and our show is going to provide you some tools, inspiration, and motivation to success. We're going to provide you a show that will truly help you to dream big, think positive, and take action. We're going to bring you interviews from people across this great state of Kansas. We're going to bring you leaders from this community. We're going to bring you teachers, coaches. We're going to bring you military leaders and some great people to inspire and motivate you. So please stay tuned. We have a great show for you today.
Every individual has value and the right to be treated with dignity. Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas support persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities and are dedicated to the worth of each person. To help DSNWK give the best of a vast array of services, we invite you to log on to our Plan Giving website. It features valuable ideas on ways to plan for the future and receive benefits. Lives are transformed by your support of people with disabilities for generations to come. Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas.
Hi, I'm Seth Castle, owner of Castle Books Publishing here in Hays, Kansas. I've purchased advertising time here on Eagle Community Television to help support veteran-owned small businesses in our community. So if you're a veteran-owned small business and would be interested in using this advertising time, please go to my website, www.castlebooks.com, and click on the Veterans Outreach tab. Thank you for your time and thank you for your service.
He cries in the corner where nobody sees. He's the kid with the story no one would believe. He prays every night, "Dear God, won't you please, could you send someone here who will love me?"
Help a child know they're special. Adopt. Call or go online to learn how.
Who will love me for me?
Simon's tax, accounting, and financial planners have been trusted by their clients for decades. At Simon's, they take a holistic approach with a comprehensive portfolio of services for their clients. Make your appointment today and enjoy a better tomorrow for you and your family. Simon's Tax, Accounting, and Financial Planners, 1007 Cody Avenue in Hays.
Hello everyone and welcome to Dreaming Big with Dr. Schwandt. I am your host, Dr. Jamie Schwandt. And our guest today is a very special guest, Christie Appelhanz from the Children's Alliance. And Christie's going to tell you what Children's Alliance, what they do, and she's going to provide some inspirational stories for you. And so, Christie, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, no, this is great. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you do and kind of a little more about Children's Alliance?
Sure. I'm the new executive director of the Children's Alliance of Kansas. I took over June 1st. And it's the association for private, nonprofit child welfare contractors across the state. So I really work to bring people together to discuss issues that are facing kids in the child welfare system and figure out how we can come up with collective solutions and work together and speak with one voice.
Oh, that's great. I recall a conversation we had, and it was talking about the open communication and getting the problems out there and bringing all the stakeholders together to try to find these solutions, because the end result is these foster children.
Right.
So and then of course with you guys train foster parents, you mentioned as well. So and I guess providing that great training for foster parents so they can again help the foster child.
Yes, providing safe homes for kids really begins with having an adequate supply of foster parents who are really going into the process with their eyes wide open, who are trained. Our training in Kansas is intense. It's 30 hours to become a foster parent, in addition to kind of home studies and other things. And it's a process of really deciding, is this right for the foster parents, and how can they best meet the needs of the kids coming into the system?
I was going to ask you, with your profession, Children's Alliance, you came in June, and I remember I got to meet you, Topeka, in May.
Yes.
And before Children's Alliance, I guess, what did you do?
So I've worked in a variety of different positions, everything from working as a newspaper reporter to for a member of Congress. And what I really like to do is be a voice for those who don't have a voice. And so I think that too often kids in the child welfare system don't have a voice, or they don't have a loud enough a voice. And so that's something that really excites me about being at the Children's Alliance.
Now, Chris, you're the voice of the voiceless.
Yes.
When you talk about bringing these open discussions and bringing the voice, has it been positive so far throughout DCF and the contractors, and I mean the open discussions? Can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, moving forward, what Children's Alliance is doing right now?
So I think it's a really interesting time for child welfare in Kansas. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary of the privatization of the child welfare system. I think in February it'll be the 20th anniversary of when foster care was privatized. And I think it's a really good time. We were the first state in the country to privatize our child welfare system. So we were pioneers, we were innovators. That privatization was not easy, but it ultimately resulted in better outcomes for kids. So after 20 years, I think it's a good time to reflect on what has worked over the past 20 years, what areas are we doing well in, and then how can we continue to improve, and what's up for the next 20 years?
So that leads me to my next question here. Those areas that we're doing well in and need improving in, can you expand on those a little bit? What are we doing well in foster care, and what do we need to improve on?
One of the things we're doing well in is Kansas has been recognized as one of the top 5 states in the nation for providing foster care in a home-like setting. So, 30 years ago, it was common for kids in the foster care system to go to a group home. The research and the studies show that that's not the best, that doesn't result in the best outcomes for kids. And so we lead the country when it comes to providing foster care in a family-like setting. And I think that's something we can all be proud of.
Is there any specific improvements that you can think of?
I think one of the biggest challenges facing the child welfare system in Kansas, and it's actually not unique to Kansas, is that we have a record number of kids coming into the system. Kansas and 34 other states have seen an increase in the number of kids in the system, and that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but I think the challenge is really accommodating that increase in the child welfare population with the kind of foster parents who can make a difference in their lives.
And I think the number is around 6,500, or
yes.
And I can kind of see both views there. I can see it as, obviously, probably don't have enough foster parents. So that's probably something the state of Kansas, I'm sure, really wants to push, is getting some really good foster parents, and then you guys training them. And then I can also see, I'm sure there's funding issues, but I can also see it being a slight positive. So if you have children, there's a reason they're taken from their home in the first place. So possibly it's an opportunity for those kids that they didn't already have before with the biological family. But I can definitely see, the large increase, obviously, with the lack of foster parents and funding. Do you have anything that, going back to you as Christie, what, I guess, motivated you or inspired you to kind of get into this profession?
It was back in college. I ran in a 5K race, and the race benefited court-appointed special advocates, or CASA. And it's back to the being a voice for someone who doesn't have one. And so I served as a CASA volunteer for 15 years, and there's one child in particular who will always stick with me. Her name was Venetia. She had been in 20 different placements throughout her time in the system. She aged out of the system, and I was with her throughout her entire teen years. We still stay in contact today. And I think seeing the challenges that she faced and really having that opportunity to be that stable person in her life that was full of so much instability, and then seeing her today, she was the first person in her family to graduate from high school, and it just was such an exciting, amazing achievement. She has managed to have a steady job, to have stable relationships, and so just knowing that where she came from does not define who she is today was something that definitely motivated me to see if we can if I can play a small role in helping others on that path to success.
Whenever I think of CASA, makes me smile. I had my CASA worker was Clella Hahn. She, I was 12 when I was placed in foster care, and she was such an inspiration to me. I still stay in contact with her husband, and unfortunately she passed away here recently. And she was such an inspiration to me. It's such an inspiration that I put her in my book, my next book. But she was, Clella was a great CASA. Nothing but great things with CASA. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to finish our second part with Christie, so please stay tuned.
Learn more about us at januscampaign.org.
Your child deserves to know you care, even if you can't be by her side every day. If you owe the state of Kansas for back child support, we've got a new program that helps you pay down your debt while paving the way for your child's higher education. It takes just a $25 investment to get started. Learn more at www.dcf.ks.gov. Helping you build a healthy family and support your child to succeed.
Hello, I am Dr. Jamie Schwandt, and as a former foster child, I want to give back and help others succeed. I've wrote 2 books dedicated to foster families. Last year, I wrote Succeeding as a Foster Child. This book is a roadmap for success for foster children. My second book, Finding Your Hero, was recently published. This book is a children's book for foster children and provides a positive message for foster families. These books are great resources for foster families and can be found at jamieschwandt.com. Thank you and God bless.
At Eagle Communications, we're proud to provide the communication services you need to get the most from today's technology. Our employee owners make it happen. We're part of your community, and we take pride in delivering excellent customer service. If you ever have a question, give us a call. We're here to help. Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Welcome back to Dreaming Big with Dr. Schwandt. We're in our second part of the interview here with Christie of Children's Alliance. Now, Christie, let's pick up where we left off here. Any specific success stories that you can think of with foster children, employees, or anyone overcoming obstacles, or anything you can think of?
Sure. We have a new grant at the Children's Alliance, and it's really designed to fill the gaps for those kids who are transitioning out of the foster care system. It's called WIOA, which is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. Okay. And what we do is work to match qualified employees with work sites throughout Northeast Kansas. And so one of the best parts of my job is developing those work sites, finding what kids who are in the foster care system are interested in, and finding those employers who can teach them the skills they need. So last week I was working with an electrician, and we were talking about a specific kid who was interested in becoming an electrician, and he was certainly willing to hire him, to teach him, to serve as a mentor to him. And he just said, you know, I'm looking for people who make my life easier, and if he can make my life easier, I can make his life easier. And so oftentimes kids who are in the foster care system don't have those community connections needed to really get out there. So we're working with them to discover what their interests are, what their barriers are. Sometimes it's as simple as us providing the support so they can get a driver's license, so they're able to drive to their to a job. We also provide support in terms of advancing their education, whether that's technical education. We have a kid who's in a welding program who is also working in an internship on the side. Whatever it is to make sure that that transition to adulthood is a smooth one.
No, that's great. So you're teaching them adult learning skills, getting them ready for the real world. You know, anytime I think of foster children and success, I usually think of college. But I'm thinking for university. So I'm not thinking these technical skills, which, yeah, that's very important, and that's really awesome. Is there any specific ones, I guess, that are most popular about with foster children that they want to go into?
Oftentimes they want to go into some type of helping profession.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have quite a few kids, youth in the system who are interested in a medical profession. And sometimes it's a matter of providing a path. While becoming a doctor might seem overwhelming, but becoming a CNA and starting out there, and then becoming a registered nurse, and then looking at steps beyond that is a little more something that they can really envision themselves doing. And so just providing those benchmarks along the way is an important part of the program.
No, that's great. I mean, that would work for just about anybody if you think about it. So everything seems overwhelming, and those small, quick wins, the small steps are very important in anything in life.
And really celebrating those successes along the way, and what it means to get a job as a CNA and be successful in that job, and start building those relationships with people who can get you to the next step.
And how are you building those relationships?
A lot of times it's just connecting the young adults with people they wouldn't normally come in contact with their life, whether that's bringing in speakers, identifying mentors, out there talking to work sites, making that first connections. And it's things that kids who are in traditional families have in place for them, but kids in the foster care system don't always have those supports that others have, and we want to fill those gaps.
No, that is great. In the military, they have something similar, like hire heroes, or and I think that's great, and that's something even maybe the traditional families don't have. So that's another opportunity that that foster children may have. You know, they have college benefits, they have these job skills that you guys are trying to help them obtain. So I think that's great. That's great work. Let me ask you a question, and I know magic wands don't exist, but if you had a magic wand and you had the power to improve one specific thing in foster care, adoption, or anything you can think of, helping out children or foster parents, what would that be?
I would always start with prevention. Whatever we can do to support families early on, as opposed to trying to fix things later on, I think makes a lot of fiscal sense, as well as sense when it comes to outcomes for kids. So I would probably put my money on prevention.
That's a good point. If we put the money up front to prevent it, when they become tax-paying citizens, they'll be more productive, and it'll help out everyone. If you had any specific advice for someone let's call them a journeyman, or someone that's kind of moved around in foster care as an employee, as a social worker or a foster parent, or someone that's just becoming a foster parent or just becoming a CASA volunteer. Any specific advice for them?
I think it's really important to understand the impact of trauma on kids and how that just affects what they are going through and the decisions that they make. So education is so important. I think it's important not to take things personally, but really just always have that lens of why are things kind of unfolding the way they are.
Question for you. So I love to read, and I'm trying to ask most of our guests the same question. Any specific book that you turn to that you'd recommend to our viewers that is an inspiration to you or could be useful for anyone helping a child out or anyone overcoming obstacles?
I'd say I love a good underdog story. I'm always a sucker for an underdog story. Probably the latest one I read is Unbound, which is about a prisoner of war and just all of the many obstacles he had to overcome in his life. And I think it's really similar to your story in a lot of ways, where instead of taking that and becoming bitter, but really working through it and finding a way to help that make you become a better person. So Unbound is the latest underdog story I've read.
Unbound. Okay.
Unbound, yes.
I'll have to go out and purchase that. So, Christie, is there anything you would want to mention with Children's Alliance? And you guys, I know you mentioned what you guys are doing. Is there anything else further down the line that Children's Alliance or Christie's working on?
I just really hope to move the organization where we are working together as one child welfare system. That really is my goal. It can be tough. I manage an association of entities that are competing against each other. So it's not always smooth sailing, but I think we just need to really stay focused on the reason why we're all doing this work and what the ultimate goal is. So that's my vision for the organization.
No, that's perfect. Perfectly said. Well, thank you for being on the show today. Really appreciate it. So I wanted to thank Christie again and thank all the viewers out there for tuning in to Dreaming Big with Dr. Schwandt. I want to wish you all a wonderful day, and God bless the United States of America.
Hi, I'm Seth Castle, owner of Castle Books Publishing here in Hays, Kansas. I've purchased advertising time here on Eagle Community Television to help support veteran-owned small businesses in our community. So if you're a veteran-owned small business and would be interested in using this advertising time, please go to my website, www.castlebooks.com, and click on the Veterans Outreach tab. Thank you for your time and thank you for your service.
Learn more about us at januscampaign.org.
Simon's tax, accounting, and financial planners have been trusted by their clients for decades. At Simon's, they take a holistic approach with a comprehensive portfolio of services for their clients. Make your appointment today and enjoy a better tomorrow for you and your family. Simon's Tax, Accounting, and Financial Planners, 1007 Cody Avenue in Hays.
Every individual has value and the right to be treated with dignity. Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas support persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities and are dedicated to the worth of each person. To help DSNWK give the best of a vast array of services, we invite you to log on to our Plan Giving website. It features valuable ideas on ways to plan for the future and receive benefits. Lives are transformed by your support of people with disabilities for generations to come. Developmental Services of Northwest Kansas.